Hello, how are you guys doing? I promise just hang with me and I'll have lots of fun treats for you guys afterwards. How's that sound? Okay, we're gonna take some time to invest in what truly matters, and that's you and your health. Because we know that the better you take care of yourselves, the better you can take care of everyone around you, especially your clients. Don't you probably agree with that? The better we live, the better we can help others live. So as a dietitian, I typically talk about food. So I talk to a lot of groups, typically on the power of healthy food. And this probably started because of my upbringing. So I like to say that I was raised by the ultimate health freak. How many of you saw Chris Johnson speak last year? Okay, cool. So now you kind of know my story. I don't even have to say it. But I grew up with this ultimate health freak. My dad, Chris Johnson, who's the founder of On Target Living, he started his career as a personal trainer, and he's also a superfoodaholic. So my brother and I grew up with lots of superfoods, wheatgrass, cod liver oil. Exercise really made up our daily lives, and that was kind of what our world revolved around. But on the other hand, I grew up also with a mom who comes from a giant Lebanese family, and she learned how to take all of those healthy foods my dad brought home to turn them into meals that actually tasted good. So food and fitness made up my life. Just to give you a better understanding of my story, this is us at family get-togethers at the holidays. So typically on my dad's side of the family, we do giant acro yoga poses. I'm doing yoga tomorrow, so if anyone's super interested in acro yoga, we'll take some photos of some fun poses. I'll show you how it's done. So my dad's side of the family, typically we revolve our family get-togethers around some sort of fitness, some sort of fun yoga, acro yoga. Sometimes we do workouts in the driveway. And then on my mom's side of the family, usually at holiday gatherings, we sit around the table and we roll 2,000 grape leaves. So yes, a little weird, I know, but that was really all I ever knew, and this is the lifestyle that I grew up. So food and fitness really made up my world, not only healthy food, but actually food that really tasted good, and that's really the home run. But this led me into speak to groups just like you guys on the power of exercise and nutrition for optimal performance, because I think we can all agree that the better we take care of ourselves, and when we exercise and we eat the right foods, we feel better, right? And then we can experience life on a whole nother level. We can perform better, we're more productive, so we know that these things go hand in hand as far as performance goes. But what I realized along the way is that I was really missing a piece, a really important element in my message. Yes, exercise is important and eating healthy is really important. I think every single person in this room knows that, but there's something missing. There's something missing to make this lifestyle stick and make it fun and make it effortless and live a life with more purpose and more meaning. So what was that thing that I discovered was missing? How can you live a lifestyle that sticks but also allows you to live bigger and live with more purpose and more meaning? And that was mindfulness. How many of you heard about mindfulness? I know that's like a huge buzzword right now. So when it comes to mindfulness, all you have to remember is that mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to your life on purpose. So you're living life with more awareness, you're more present, you're more curious, you're interested, and you're more engaged in everything that you do. And I think so often we just go through the motions and we don't really pay attention to how we feel or what's in front of us. And we're always on autopilot. We're always doing these reactive things versus being proactive. So when it comes to mindfulness and when it comes to bringing mindfulness into your lifestyle, you're not doing things because you have to. You're doing things because you want to and because you like the way it makes you feel. So we don't work out because we want to lose weight. Yeah, that goes hand in hand and that can help. You work out because it makes you feel good. Because if we thought that we had to work out every single day because it's key to losing weight and it's key to staying in shape, then we start to think of it as a chore and we start to think of it as work. But instead, if we think about these things as something we do because it makes us feel good and we can perform better, then it's going to be much easier and much effortless to continue that practice. So I live in Chicago, and just last weekend I watched the Chicago Marathon. Anyone here from Chicago? Woohoo! Did anyone watch the marathon? How many of you have ran a marathon before? Awesome. I have never run a marathon. I'm more of a 5K girl, but that is so impressive to me. So every year when the Chicago Marathon happens, I go out to see the leaders run by. I usually go to the 10-mile mark, and I like to get super close as I can, because I want to see their facial expressions when they run by. I want that feeling. To just be there and to see elite performing at their highest level, it's pretty much the same thing as sitting courtside at a LeBron James game, right? It's really, really inspiring to see these elite performers functioning at their highest level. But to me, elite athletes really use mindfulness as a way to perform at their highest level and to really stay engaged in their task at hand. So I just want to show you a little video from this experience, and I want you to really pay attention to the look on the leader's face. So these leaders who win the marathon, they're running sub 5-minute miles, and they're making it look effortless. They're not even breaking a sweat, they're not even breathing heavy. So to me, I love to see that mindset, because they are so focused on this task at hand. They are living mindful living to its fullest, and they're practicing the art of mindfulness to really perform at a high level. So take a look at this. So you can see how effortless it is, and they all run in packs. And so what I really decided to do this year was I really wanted to pay attention. I wanted to examine everything about their life, because it was so impressive to me. And in fact, I think next year I want to run it just because I want to be in part of the whole experience. But I couldn't believe that they run 26.2 miles without headphones. Can you imagine that? Yes, they finish in about 2 hours, so it's not probably your typical 4-hour marathon where you're just completely in the zone, but they have no headphones on. So then I started to do a lot of research of why these marathon runners, these leaders, these experts, why they don't wear headphones. Because what happens is we usually don't see people wear headphones until probably like 45 minutes later. And that's usually around the 6:30-minute mile pace. And what I found is that these elite athletes, they are completely engaged. They're mentally and physically present. They can't be distracted. They can't listen to music, because they have to be so aware of their surroundings. They have to be able to feel their competitor on their side. They have to be able to, be in tune with the whole pace, because one step could get them out of balance. So one wrong move can really throw them off their game. They have to be completely aware. They have to hear the sound of their competitor. They have to feel their competitor in order to perform at their highest level. And I think so often we're always multitasking. We're doing so many things to distract us from the task at hand, and we're not really allowing ourselves to perform at that highest level and be completely engaged. Even when we're having a conversation with someone who's important, we're not always there. So mindfulness really allows you to perform at your highest level and really be unstoppable, but really be engaged and allow you to get to that high point. So when you think of mindfulness, this can really allow you to be present. It's more of a non-judgment practice. So you're not judging anyone else, you're not comparing yourself, you're shutting down the multitasking ability, because let's face it, no one can multitask, it's not really productive, we know that. But you're not letting distractions get in your way, because we all have distractions that come our way. In fact, we access our phone every 11 minutes. How many of you have probably checked Facebook at some point today, right? All of us, yes. We can never focus. We always want this stimulation, right? But that can hold us back. And a lot of these distractions can make it hard to get back to what we're supposed to be doing. So it takes an average of 23 minutes to recover from an interruption, right? Even if we're just checking an email, we have to go back into that project that we were doing, and it can make it so much harder to get back into it. So we know that we have these distractions, but if we're more engaged and we're paying attention on purpose a little bit more, we can kind of be mindful of not letting those distractions get in the way. So today, I'm going to teach you guys, because you guys are all amazing leaders, you're all amazing performers, which is why you're here today, but I'm going to teach you how to really get into that mindful zone so you can perform at your highest level. You're already performing at a super high level, but what if you could just take it up a notch? And so it's not really about showing up anymore. All of us can show up, but it's about showing up as a mindful leader who's focused, calm, and energized. So those are the three components that make up a mindful leader, and I'm going to teach you how to get into each one of those. So today we'll build that mindfulness folder that you can pull from anytime. So no matter what distractions come in your way, you can pull your mindfulness folder out and use all of these skills to make you a mindful leader. So here's the skill set that makes up the mindful leader, and we're going to start with just learning how to have better focus. So this is just the ability to fight off distractions, make good decisions, problem solve, be more creative, and just function a little bit better. So the key to focus is when our mind is restored when we rest. So we really can't increase our focus unless we take time to recover and take some downtime. So good sleep, is the #1 way to improve our focus. And I think so often sometimes we neglect areas of our life because we think it takes away from other aspects of our life when we really can't make up for loss of sleep. And we know that sleep deprivation leads to a lot of things: lower alertness, concentration, ability to focus. We're finding a connection with Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer's and lack of sleep, not enough sleep, impaired judgment, poor memory. It can affect our immune system. And when we have a healthy immune system, that can really keep us healthy from really everything that comes our way. It's really the prevention of all disease, our immune system. And then it can also cause elevated cortisol levels and obesity. So if we're not getting enough sleep, it's going to be really hard to lose weight. And it's also going to be hard to just kind of maintain your weight. Lack of sleep is the #1 way to age the body. So we know that sleep is really important. It's especially important for performance and productivity.
You're tired. You get weird when you get tired. Let's just find a motel. I don't want you dozing off.
I'm not tired. Are you kidding? Go another 100 miles. Come on. No problem.
Isn't that a great movie? It's great. So as professionals, we sometimes think that not enough sleep, or sleep in general, is a sign of weakness. So how often do you get to the office and someone's saying that, oh, I only got 3 hours of sleep last night? We almost brag about how little sleep we get, when in fact, we're cheating ourselves of what could be, right? We need to make sleep cool again. It's not cool to sleep 3 to 4 hours a night, right? I know everyone's busy, but if we can just prioritize our sleep a little bit more and really understand that it's important, that's really going to be the home run. So don't cheat yourself. Don't consider sleep as a sign of weakness, because it really isn't. It can allow you to perform at your highest level. And in fact, 1/3 of our lives are spent sleeping. So we really need to make sure that we know how to do this right. We need to sleep in the right way. That's 26 years on average of our life is spent sleeping. And I think that sleep is really our superpower. So really don't cheat yourself. And when it comes to sleeping too, a good night's sleep, it doubles your productivity and triples concentration. And it's also where all of those things that we learned, all of those short-term memories are stored to long-term. So if you feel like you're really having a hard time remembering things or just kind of staying on track, maybe you have to step back and say, well, what's my sleep like? Could I sleep maybe a half an hour longer? If you're sleeping, 5 hours, maybe go to 5.5, or from 5.5 go to 6. So just small little things that will really make a huge difference. So I'm sure you guys are probably all thinking, yeah, I know sleep's important, but I just don't sleep good. So I'm going to give you some strategies to get better sleep. And that really starts with your circadian rhythm. Has anyone ever heard of circadian rhythm? Yes, okay, so basically that's just your internal alarm clock. So that's where your brain cycles between alertness and sleepiness throughout the day. So typically during the day, we're alert. I know you guys have been sitting here all day, and it's really dark. But typically during the day, we're alert. And then at night, when darkness approaches and nighttime sets in, that's where we start to feel drowsy and start to feel sleepy. So really regulating those circadian rhythms comes down to setting your alarm clock, setting your internal alarm clock. So you're making sure that you're going to bed and getting up at the same time every day. So you want to make sure that everything is regular. You're setting those regular habits. So if you go to bed at midnight and then you get up at 5 a.m., but then the next night you're going to bed at 9 and you're getting up at 7, it's just going to throw your body off. So really a key to setting your circadian rhythm is to get on a normal schedule. And really, when it comes to lightness and darkness, this plays a huge role in your circadian rhythm. I know you guys have been sitting in the dark all day, but I suggest that you get outside and get some sort of natural sunlight at some point today, because what happens is when darkness approaches, that's where our sleep hormone, melatonin, starts to rise. That prepares the body for sleep. During the day, when it's sunny and lightness and we're exposed to that natural light, that's where that sleep hormone melatonin starts to lower. So it's going to be really difficult if you go to the office when it's dark and you leave when it's dark to fall asleep, because the light and the dark can really regulate those natural melatonin levels, and melatonin is crucial for getting a really good night's sleep because that's our sleep hormone. So getting outside, typically melatonin starts kicking in right around like now, so I hope no one's sleeping out there. But usually if you feel like you really can't get out of bed and it's really hard to wake up in the morning, just getting outside, exposing yourself to that natural light is a really good remedy. So typically this is how kind of our melatonin works in the body. So around 9 p.m. when it gets dark, that's where melatonin secretion starts. And then it gets higher throughout the night. And then towards the morning time, so 6 a.m., 7 a.m., that's where melatonin secretion drops. So that's where we can start to feel a little bit more alert. Now, when it comes to melatonin, and when it comes to really supplements in general, we don't really want to treat our symptoms. We want to fix our problems. So at On Target Living, we really look at the whole big picture and we say, well, what's the source of your issue? If you can't sleep, maybe you have to step back and say, well, why am I not sleeping? Why am I having sleep problems in general? You're being mindful of why you're having some of these issues in the first place. So melatonin, because it's our sleep hormone, it does not come in a bottle. It comes from the sun. So when it comes to treating a lot of our issues, we have to take a step back and say, how can I actually fix my issue versus treat my symptom? Because what happens when we take melatonin from a bottle or from a pill, that can throw off the way that our body regulates melatonin naturally. The body produces melatonin naturally just from getting outside, going to bed, exposing yourself to light and darkness. But if we're taking a supplement form, that can really shut down melatonin levels and make it really hard to regulate through the body. And so if you're having a hard time sleeping, or maybe you are taking melatonin, maybe start to limit your stimulating blue light. So this just makes the body feel like it's daytime, because that light is very stimulating on the body. So it can suppress those melatonin levels, and it can make us feel more alert. So if you're on your iPad, or your computer all day, maybe an hour before bed, you're shutting these off. Maybe you're reading, you're pulling out of a magazine. So limiting this to about an hour before bed. And then really the key to getting good sleep is to make sure that your environment is awesome for sleeping. So make sure that the room is completely dark, and then crank down the thermostat. So lower the temperature to 65 degrees. That's ideal sleeping temperature. So that's where the parasympathetic is stimulated, the parasympathetic nervous system, and that can make the body relax and calm down. How many of you stayed in a hotel last night? So do you find that you sleep well or not very good at hotels? Somewhat good. Sometimes we sleep better at hotels because we can control the temperature. We can control our whole environment, and many times it's cold already. So try tonight, if you're staying the night, lower that temperature to 65 degrees and try to work at home to lowering it 65 degrees when you sleep, and it'll be a really good way to shut down the body and just relax the body so you can stay asleep a little bit longer. And then maybe you have a sound machine, maybe you have a fan, maybe you have some sort of white noise that can really make your atmosphere, your environment really nice for sleeping. And according to the National Sleep Foundation, adults really need 7 to 9 hours of uninterrupted sleep per night to function at their highest level. I know that sounds like probably a lot to most people, but we know that's what the body needs. To function at your highest level, you need 7 to 9 hours. Like I said, if you're at 5, maybe work to 5.5. But the reason that we need 7 to 8 hours is because we go through 4 different stages of sleep each night, and we cycle through these stages every 90 to 110 minutes. So stage 1 and 2, those happen really quickly. Think about when you're like in a meeting and you just start to doze off, or you're watching TV and you start to doze off. Maybe, hopefully you're not there right now, right? So that's usually happens really quickly. It's the first, second stage of sleep. But then the third stage of sleep is our deep sleep. So we get into these later stages with more sleep as we go through the night. And this is where our hormones heal themselves. So these are our fat burning hormones, our hunger hormones, our sex hormones. And keep in mind that you can't lose weight if your hormones are not balanced. So when I work with people who want to lose weight, the first thing I ask is, how is their sleep? And they're like, what does it have to do with anything? I want to eat better, I want to exercise. But this is where our hormones heal itself, and this is where the body heals itself. So many times, a lot of people will tell me, well, I have cravings. I crave like cookies and, salty foods all the time. Well, this is probably because they're not getting enough sleep. When we don't get our enough sleep and we don't have time to balance our hormones, this is where our hunger hormone comes out and it makes us crave a lot of food. I'm sure a lot of you have probably felt like maybe you went out late one night, you had fun with your friends, you went and partied, and then the next day you feel like you can't feel satisfied. You feel like you're hungry every single day. That's probably because you're not hitting that deep sleep. And then the last stage of sleep, the fourth stage, is REM sleep. So this is rapid eye movement, and this is really, really important. A lot of us don't get very much REM sleep because we're not sleeping very long at 7 to 9 hours at a time. Maybe we're just sleeping short times during the day, maybe we're taking a nap during the day, and we're never getting into that REM sleep. This is where the brain heals itself. So this is where all of those things that you learned can be put into long-term storage, where you can remember and your memory gets restored. But this is where your brain heals itself. So we need to take a little bit of time to kind of recover and let the body do what it really needs to do while it's sleeping. So many of you probably are thinking, well, I get that sleep is really important, but what if I can't stay asleep? How many of you feel like you can't stay asleep? You can maybe fall asleep, but you can't stay asleep. This is usually a sign that you're deficient in magnesium. So magnesium is our calming mineral. Lets the body and the mind just relax, and it prepares the body for sleep. And the highest source of magnesium is Epsom salt. So if you feel like you can't stay asleep, it may be nice to introduce a little bit more magnesium into your life. The number one source is Epsom salt. So this is just bath salts, and you can add 2 cups to a bath. The key is to make sure that you're adding enough, and you want really about 2 cups to a bath, and you soak in it right before bed. Maybe you do that once a week. Maybe you do a little foot soak. I know probably most of you are thinking, I don't have time for baths, but maybe if sleep is important to you, maybe you try this out, and maybe 1 time a week for 10 minutes, you're taking a bath, because magnesium is really great for inflammation. It's really good for sore muscles. If you have tennis elbow, if you have IT issues, if you have pain, anything, it's going to be really great for letting the body kind of recover. And then, a lot of people can't fall asleep. Maybe they can stay asleep, but they can't fall asleep. And that's really tells you that you have to incorporate some way to wash the brain. Maybe you have too much stress. You have too many things going on up here. It's not letting you fall asleep. So the number one way to kind of clear the brain is with some form of movement. So I want everyone to stand up real quick. I know you've been sitting all day. So we're going to wash the brain a little bit, okay? We're going to get you feeling really good. So exercise and movement. So I always say, move the body, still the mind. This is a really great way to just kind of let things go. Here we go. So a little side-to-side action. You can do a little dance if you want to. And you can do this stuff anywhere. Movement you can sneak in any time of the day. Overhead. You can do it while you're pumping gas with your clients at a meeting. Isn't that fun? And then both arms overhead. And then a nice little shoulder shrug. like those stretches over there. That's impressive. And then a little neck stretches side to side. Okay, sit down, relax. Nice job. Woohoo! I saw some of you guys smiling for the first time. See, we don't move because we want to lose weight. We move and exercise because it makes us feel good. Okay, on to energy. So we talked about this skill set to make a mindful leader, and stay focused really does come down to getting better sleep. So, and with everything I'm talking about today, we're really going to start small. Start small to live big. You don't have to do everything overnight. Just maybe do 20 minutes longer a night. Plan ahead for that good sleep. So when it comes to energy, we know that in order to perform at our highest level, we need energy, right? High achievement results requires big energy, but really the trick is learning how to get and keep that energy. So when it comes to energy, it's way more important to manage your energy versus time. So I think the number one thing I hear all the time when it comes to living a healthier lifestyle is I don't have time. But if you have more energy, it allows you to do more with the time that you have, right? You can be more present. You can be more engaged in everything that you're doing. Job success is predicted by your ability to manage your energy and your stress in a positive way. And when it comes to energy, food is the number one source of energy. So I told you I talk about food most of the time, so here I go. Food has a direct impact on our overall energy, our mood, and our performance. And let's face it, isn't food the most fun to talk about? We all eat, right? It's fun. It brings us together. So food is really our number one fuel source. It drives our engine. It makes it easy to stay moving with less effort. So I want to share a story. I know we're talking all about these stories today, which is really powerful, but I want to talk about the day that I gave my cute little scooter the wrong fuel. So recently, I bought a scooter for my husband's birthday because living in Chicago, having a scooter is everything. You can go all sorts of places, all over town. You don't have to pay for parking. You can park anywhere that there's permit parking for free. So one day from work on his birthday, I picked him up in his brand new scooter. It's beautiful. It's mint green. It's got a brown seat. It runs like a champ. It's brand new. So I surprised him one day after work with this scooter, and we rode it all around town until it ran out of gas. So the next day, I was heading to brunch, and I wasn't being mindful. I was on autopilot. I was moving way too fast, and I decided to swing by the gas station to get gas real quick. Thought that would be a nice thing for my husband. He wanted to take it later in the day. So at the time when I got the scooter, I was working with a good friend. His name's Anthony, and he's like the scooter guy. So he helped me put this scooter together. And he told me what I needed to do and how to maintain it and everything. So when I was putting the scooter together with him, I remember him saying, make sure you put premium gas in the scooter, because premium gas is a better quality fuel for your scooter, and it'll make it run more effortlessly and more efficiently. So when I get to the gas station, I'm racing around, totally on autopilot. I pull up to the tank, and I remember in my head him telling me, make sure you put premium gas, not unleaded. So I see the unleaded little nozzle, and I go to grab the one next to it, because he told me, do not put unleaded, put premium. So I grab the one next to it, put the gas in the tank, ride off, and about a mile down the way, my scooter starts to reek of gas, and it just dies on me. So I was so stressed out because I just bought this scooter. It's brand new, and I couldn't imagine what for the life of me happened and what was wrong with it. So I tried jump starting it a million times. I called my friend Anthony. I was like, what do you think it could be? He's like, well, you changed the gear oil, you did this and this and this. We ran through everything. And then finally he said to me, you put premium gas in the tank, right? And that's where everything started to connect. I started to connect the dots, and I realized that I was so unaware and not present and not mindful that I put diesel gas in the scooter. And what happens when you put diesel gas in a petroleum tank? It dies, right? So I thought it was like the death for my scooter until I started Googling, and I realized that my scooter could make a full transformation if I gave it a cleanse, if I detoxed it, if I gave it the right fuel. So I drained the fuel that was in there, I put the right fuel in, I revved it up a few times, I replaced the spark plugs, and it's running better than ever. So it's made a full transformation, but this is really similar to how the body runs when you give it the right fuel. So regardless of what you've put in your body, what kind of fuel you've put in your body over the years, forget about that. The body can make a full transformation when you give it the right fuel, because then it will be able to run with less effort. So think about that when it comes to what you're eating. We know that when we eat better, we're going to be able to perform better because it's what our body is made to have. So when it comes to the right fuel, you guys all have this little food target here. Maybe some of you guys remember this from last year. You'll find the healthiest foods, the healthiest fuel in the center of the food target. So the green circles, we call those superfoods because they're so powerful on your health, they're powerful on your performance. You can think of foods that just have one ingredient, and then all the other things kind of live out here. So focusing more on the center two green circles. So this includes our carbs, because the cool thing about the food target is it really shows you how to find balance when it comes to food. You're not giving anything up, you're making everything better. So I like to say that it's a mindful eating guide, because none of us want to give anything up. We just want to make the things that we're eating maybe a little bit better. Because what happens if we give up our carbs? What happens to us? Yeah, we get sleepy, we don't have energy, we're not very fun to be around, right? Because carbs are our energy source. We know that we need carbs, it just depends on the quality. And then of course we need proteins. Proteins repair and build muscle. They also help to keep us satisfied. And then we need fats. Fats actually make up majority of brain matter. So it's especially great for focus, especially great for energy, good for the immune system, good for metabolism. We know we need fats. But when it comes to food, we really have to change our thinking around food. So when we have the same old thinking, we get the same old results. And I hear so many beliefs and things that people throw out there about food that's really not true, and that really holds them back. So I do a lot of client events where I show people how to use food as the most powerful investment, and use food in a way that's really, really powerful at connecting people, because there's so much more to eating than to lose weight or be healthy. It's really the full experience. Food is social, it connects us. So a lot of times when I do these client events, I'll prepare a healthy dish from my cookbook, and I'll be preparing it, and then I'll be sampling it out to the audience, showing them how to combine like healthy and delicious in a really fun way. And so many times I get someone from the audience say, "Oh, no thanks, I don't want to sample, that looks too healthy." Now what does that mean, that looks too healthy? So I can't help it, but I'm like, well, what if it's healthy? Yes, but what if it's really delicious? And they're like, oh, well, yeah. That could be good. So of course, then I convince them to try it. They try it and they say, oh, that's really good. So we have so many beliefs around food, like, yeah, maybe it's too healthy, but that doesn't mean it has to taste bad, because in fact, flavor comes from nutrients. That's where flavor comes from. Foods that are healthier are gonna be more flavorful. Yes, maybe you're not preparing it very well, but when you use foods in their most natural state and the best quality foods, they're gonna be the most flavorful. So when it comes to all these beliefs surrounding food, really start to change your beliefs in order to get new results. It's not too expensive to eat healthy. It's too expensive to get sick. 62% of bankruptcies are medically related. We know that we shouldn't really ask if, why healthy food is so expensive. We should ask why junk food is so cheap, right? It's not too expensive, and in fact, when we're buying things local, we're buying things in season, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be too healthy, it doesn't have to be too time-consuming, because really it's the story of food. So when it comes to food, and that really is what kind of inspired me to put together this cookbook, is I grew up with this really health freak dad who just loved healthy food, but he didn't really care about how it tasted. He was just all concerned about food as fuel. But then I had this mom that came from this Lebanese family where she used food as love. because that's what it is. It connects us, it's social, it's an experience. So that really inspired me to put together these two concepts to make meals that are healthy and delicious, because it's really the story of food. We don't remember the things that we buy, but we remember the meals that we eat and who we eat them with. And food is a social connection. We talked about human connection earlier today. There's no better way to connect to someone than through food. And if it's healthier food, that's going to be the home run. So food really is our common ground. It's our universal experience. So when it comes to eating, start to eat more mindfully. So this is really just eating in a way that makes you feel healthy and happy. You're using common sense to make choices. So yes, as a dietitian, I went to school and I learned all about medical nutrition therapy and using, certain nutrients for healing the body, and learned all about calories and counting calories for, body needs. But really, it does come down to just using your common sense when it comes to eating. Do we really think that energy comes in a can? No, it doesn't, right? Energy comes from healthy foods. It comes from sunlight. It comes from movement. Do we really believe that adding butter to our coffee is like the home run for losing weight? No. And who wants butter in their coffee? You might as well have butter on something that's worth it, right? Coffee's just good as is. So we need to get rid of all these distractions, all these things that are coming at us, all the things in the media, all the information, and really start to use our common sense. The other day someone said, "Oh, I heard kale is not healthy for you anymore. It's really bad for you." What? Kale comes from the ground, right? It's one ingredient. It's going to be healthy. The body knows what to do with it. So we need to use our common sense. And also, we talk a lot On Target Living about the 80-20 rule, and I just was over at Carson's Cookies. I have cookies for later, don't worry. But remember, food is social. It's the whole experience. So if you are going to indulge, make it count. We don't get pleasure when we overdo anything. So if you use the 80-20 rule to eat, so 80% of the time you're eating within the 2 center circles of the food target, 20% of the time you make room for other things, which is 4 meals out of the week, then that will allow you to experience things so much better, because food is an experience. And if you have all these holiday functions and these client events and all these things going on, but if you don't feel good, the experience isn't going to be good, right? So we can make room for all these things, and then it makes us never feel guilty. So when it comes to indulging, just be mindful of how much and how often you're indulging, because we don't get pleasure when we overdo things. And we know that calories are not created equal, just like anything else. Advisors aren't created equal, dietitians aren't created equal, especially food. Food is not created equal. So instead of looking at calories, we're looking at ingredients. Ingredients will be the #1 indicator of quality. So when you flip over the back of a product, you want to immediately look at the ingredients, because that will tell you everything you need to know about a product. So less ingredients are best. You want to be able to pronounce everything, right? We know that foods in their most natural state, 1 ingredient foods like a carrot or apple, they don't even have a nutrition label. We know that they're going to be healthy for us. And so often people will say, well, healthy shopping is really hard. It's really confusing. It doesn't have to be, because 40% of the items in the grocery store aren't real food. So you can weed all of these things out simply by looking at the ingredients. If you can't pronounce it, if you can't recognize it, it's not real food. So if you use that rule, you'll be able to actually choose food that's healthy for you, and you don't have to think so hard about it. So a concept that really never changes, and this is something we talk a lot about On Target Living, is called the source. It's a belief you can trust to never change. We talked a lot about trust and how trust is really important. With all of the diet trends and all the crazy things going on right now, using the source concept to navigate this confusing food world is going to be your best friend. And when it comes to choosing foods closest to the source, you can think of foods that are in their most natural state. So 1 ingredient foods, they're the most nutritious, they're the healthiest, they're the least processed, they're usually the most affordable, and the coolest piece is they're usually the most flavorful, because remember I said that flavor comes from nutrients. So here's an example. When you start to eat foods closest to the source, the less likely you are to overeat. So as a dietitian, I never talk about calories. Counting calories are boring. Who wants to count calories the rest of their life? No, thank you, right? So when it comes to choosing foods closest to the source, these foods will be the most flavorful that we don't overeat these foods. So here's an example. How many of you find that you overeat broccoli? Sometimes I get like one person, and then we make friends later. No, we don't overeat these foods. They're flavorful, but they're really satisfying. They're really nourishing on the body, so we don't have to overeat them, and if we do, it's okay. If we eat an apple, how many apples do we eat? We eat one. We don't overdo these things, right? And then how many of you have ever tried butternut or spaghetti squash? Amazing, right? Especially when we get it in season. So this just gives you an idea of how to choose foods closest to the source for more flavor, because healthy food doesn't have to taste bad. And then now you can make zucchini pasta. You can put your own sauce on there, so you never have to worry about counting calories, because that's really not important. 100 calories of broccoli does not do the same thing in the body as 100 calories of chocolate cake. We wish, but it doesn't. So when it comes to the source, this is just kind of gives you an idea of how it works. Sugar cane, in fact, is really healthy for the body. It's full of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, fiber. We don't ever eat sugar cane. You have to eat sugar cane with a machete, and you have to go out and hack your own sugar. But we do eat a lot of processed sugar. Processed sugar is not healthy for us because it's further away from the source. And then when it comes to an apple is the first source. We know it's not only going to be flavorful, it'll be the most nutritious, it's high in fiber. The second source would be apple sauce. And then the third source would be apple juice. So you guys kind of get how this works. When it comes to navigating the crazy food world, just think about the source concept. Where are these things coming from? What's involved in the process? And a really cool thing that I'll share with you guys, because I'm sure you'll be interested in this, is many times when we eat food or choose foods closest to the source, these will be the most affordable. Because I know it's not too expensive to eat healthy, it's too expensive to get sick, but we also don't want to spend a lot of our money on healthy food. But if we choose foods closest to the source, they're going to be more affordable. So for example, how many of you have tried flax seeds before? They're high in omega-3s. All you need is 2 tablespoons. You can put them on oatmeal, you can put them in a smoothie. You have to grind them in a coffee grinder in order to absorb the omega-3 benefits. So don't buy them already ground. Buy them in their whole form, and then grind them in a food processor and store them in the refrigerator. And then add 2 tablespoons as you go. But flax seeds in their whole state closest to the source are $4 a bag. They're dirt cheap. But then when we convert this into flaxseed oil, because we do everything out of convenience, that's where we start to lose a lot of the omega-3s, all of the nutrients, and we have completely no fiber in there, and the price goes up. The most expensive option is flaxseed tablets. So we have to take 5 tablets to give us, 2 tablespoons of the flax seeds do. So choosing these foods closest to the source can really save you money down the road, especially when it comes to supplements, because we really don't eat nutrients, we eat food. It's going to be the most powerful. So when it comes to protein powders, I'm sure so many people, everyone's consuming, everyone wants more protein, of course, to be leaner. But we're consuming protein not in the best source, not in the healthiest source. So many of us are doing a processed protein powder, like a whey protein, but where does whey protein come from? It comes from a cow. It's really acidic on the body. It causes inflammation, it causes mucus buildup. It can be really hard to absorb and break down. The body really isn't made to digest the protein of cow's milk. It's really, really difficult. So versus spending a lot of money on this processed protein powder that really isn't good for the body at all, in fact, inflammation is acid equals inflammation, and inflammation really is the root cause of all disease. We can go to a healthier plant-based source, which is hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are the highest plant-based source of protein. They're just little seeds. They're 98 cents a serving. I throw them in smoothies instead of protein powder. I sprinkle them on salads. If I want a little bit more protein, I put them in trail mix, and they're really tasty. They're really nutty flavor. So this just gives you an idea of how you can save money, but how you can have so many more benefits. So really when it comes to the source of your issue, you can think of healing the body at the source also. So the source concept can be applied in a lot of different ways, but you see all of these medications on the screen here. These are all lifestyle medications. So when we make our lifestyle better, the less need for all of these medications we have. So rather than, looking to just treat our symptoms, we really want to fix our problem at the source. So if you have a headache, ask yourself why you have a headache before you pop an ibuprofen. Have you been outside all day? Have you moved your body? Have you drank any water? Are you dehydrated? So the source, the answer always lies in the question. So we just have to ask ourselves, what's the source of our issue? Let's fix the source of our issue versus just treating the symptoms. Same with melatonin. We don't want to just treat our symptoms. We really want to fix our problem at the source. So when it comes to medication, just start to ask yourself maybe a different question. And it comes down to really healing the body with foods from the source. And these are superfoods. They're going to be the most powerful because we know that food is medicine. It's going to be the most powerful medicine on the planet. And in fact, the body needs 2 nutrients. There's 2 nutrients the body needs from a nutrition standpoint. So in order to heal the body, whatever issue you have, whether you have cholesterol, you have weight issues, you have acid reflux, maybe you have gout, there's 2 nutrients the body needs to not only function at your highest level, but to heal the body. This is the foundation from a nutrition standpoint. Those 2 nutrients are chlorophyll and omega-3 fats. So when it comes to chlorophyll, the highest 2 forms of chlorophyll are wheatgrass and spirulina and chlorella. I know you're like, what? Maybe some of you guys remember this from last year. So spirulina and chlorella, it comes in these little tablets. You guys are all gonna, remember I told you you're all gonna have some goodies after this? You guys all get to take spirulina and chlorella after this. Woohoo! You guys excited? So they come in little tablet form. So all it is a freshwater algae. It's really high in protein. It builds the immune system. So it's really good for energy. It's really good for metabolism, really good for energy, really great for keeping you healthy, preventing sickness. All you need is about 10 tablets. So 10 to 20 tablets is kind of a dose that you want to take every day. Because a lot of these foods are so close to the source, what did I say about foods closest to the source? They're really flavorful. And this is a freshwater algae. It's going to taste like algae. So you want to make sure that you swallow these tablets. You don't chew them, okay? Because they taste like fish food. You can chew them if you really want to. Some people do that. But this is one of the highest forms of chlorophyll, and it's probably the easiest form to consume. And if you are a vegetarian or if you feel like you need more protein needs in general, spirulina chlorella would be the way to go. So I usually start there with someone getting more chlorophyll in their diet. The other form of chlorophyll, the highest source, is wheatgrass. So wheatgrass comes in these little ice cubes. You drop 2 to 3 cubes in a glass of water. You drink it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Really great for acid reflux, really great for digestion, but really high in minerals. So if you find that you have issues with bone health, if you have issues with thyroid health, hormonal health, maybe you have sleep issues, the wheatgrass will be really, really powerful because it's so high in minerals. So wheatgrass will be really high in minerals. Spirulina chlorella will build the immune system. Ideally, you want both, but of course, you can just start with one or the other. Spirulina and chlorella, I think of as my travel multivitamin. So remember, we don't eat nutrients, we eat food. So I don't recommend multivitamins in general. I think they're expensive and they're really hard for the body to absorb when food is going to be the best bet and it's going to be the most affordable. So wherever I go, I travel a lot. Because I can't take my frozen wheatgrass with me, I take my spirulina chlorella with me everywhere because it keeps my immune system healthy. And therefore, I don't really get sick when I travel, and I keep my energy up. So think about spirulina chlorella, something that you can take with you anywhere, put it in your briefcase, put it in your drawer at work. And then the other nutrients, so I talked about the 2 nutrients the body needs from a nutrition standpoint, chlorophyll. 2 sources are spirulina chlorella and the wheatgrass. The other nutrient is omega-3s. So flax and chia have omega-3s in them, but a different form of omega-3 is cod liver oil, so some sort of fish oil, and this is especially great for brain health. So it contains a fat called DHA and EPA. This is what your brain matter is made up of. So when it comes to cod liver oil, you want to make sure that you are doing a really good high quality, but with cod liver oil, the reason that we recommend cod liver oil over regular fish oil is because it's naturally high in vitamin D. So you don't need to take a vitamin D supplement. We kind of avoid supplements altogether because real food is going to be your number one option. But when it comes to cod liver oil, it does 4 big things that you want to remember: brain health, heart health, hormonal health, and inflammation. So rather than take ibuprofen or Advil or Aleve for inflammation, that's what cod liver oil does. It's especially great for inflammation. It lubricates the joints. If you have knee pain, it's really good at lubricating the joints. So we want to make sure that you do some form of fish oil. Cod liver oil is what we recommend. You guys are all going to take shots afterwards, so don't worry, you'll get to try it. It's orange flavor. But flax and chia, that would just be another form of omega-3s. Those are still good to kind of add to your life. You don't have to take both flax and chia. It's the same thing. Just pick one or the other. Flax you have to grind to absorb the omega-3 benefits. Chia you don't have to do anything with. So if you want to learn more about where to get these items, what brands are the best, we at On Target Living only recommend one kind, one flavor, one brand because we know that quality is key. And that you want to make sure that you're doing a really good quality because it'll be the most affordable and it'll be the most powerful. So you can go to ontargetliving.com if you guys want to learn more about these superfoods. We also have videos of how to consume them if you forget how to take the wheatgrass. So really take time to invest in yourself because food is the most powerful investment. And don't spend your whole life building money just to spend it getting healthy. We really want to build a life, not a living. And that's really where food comes into play. Okay, on to the final piece, which is staying calm. So, you probably are wondering, okay, she's going to teach me how to just stay a little bit calmer, how to be more mindful, but there's so much stress, right? How to stay calm when we live in a sea of chaos and stress. So stress is all around us. It's lurking at every corner, pretty much, right? It comes in all shapes and sizes. But not all stress is bad. In fact, we need a little stress to kind of push us forward, and this is called eustress. So we need stress to perform better. We need stress to feel a little bit aroused. We need stress to kind of take that next step. So we need a little bit. But the problem is that when we have too much stress and we don't recover from all of that stress, that's where our body starts to break down, and that's what sometimes leads to illness, and that leads to burnout. So yes, we need a little stress. No one wants to live a stress-free life. Don't listen to anyone who says that you can live stress-free, because no one wants to, right? We need a little bit of that. But when we have too much stress, that can increase our cortisol levels, it can cause brain fog, it can make it really difficult to think clearly and to focus. It can be really hard to lose weight, especially because cortisol is our stress hormone, but also our fat-storing hormone. And according to the CDC, 90% of doctor visits are stress-related. We know that stress is really, really hard on the body. It leads to inflammation. We talked about inflammation as the root cause of all disease. It can cause the body to store fat and really make it difficult to lose weight. It can cause issues with cholesterol. So we know that we kind of need to figure out ways that we can respond to stress in a different way, because stress is really not the problem. It's the way that we respond to stress and how we recover. Because really, whether something's a threat or not, if we perceive it as a threat, that's what our body is going to stimulate. So say that we are just working ourselves up and getting all stressed out when it's really not a big deal, and maybe we have to take a step back and say, I can't control everything, I need to let this go. The body will stimulate whatever response you kind of respond to once some sort of stimulus comes your way. So I always say, fake it until you make it, because the body doesn't know any different. So act in a way that you want to feel, and be more mindful of your feelings, because we know that we have stress, we know that we all have to perform, but maybe we respond a little bit differently. So maybe we turn those negatives into positives. Maybe all that frustration, instead of saying, gosh, I'm so frustrated, maybe think to yourself, this is challenging me. This is a challenge, and I like it. Yes, it's causing a little frustration. Maybe you label some of those things. So as a yoga instructor, we always kind of teach our students that, yes, while you're laying there and while you're trying to get in connecting with your breath, you're going to have things that come into your head, but a really good way to kind of balance those things is to label those thoughts, label those feelings, acknowledge them, and put them aside. You'll get to them later. There's some things that just are out of our control, and if we can just say, now is not the right time, I'll get it to it later, I'm going to turn those feelings into, use them in a positive way. Maybe if you're feeling nervous, say you have a big meeting, or you have a new client, or you want to impress someone, and you have all this nerve, it's super nerve-wracking. Maybe you turn that feeling into being excited, right? I know speaking on stage, sometimes you feel all these like adrenalines and maybe you feel nervous, but I think of it more as excited because I need to feel that way in order to, speak in front of a group. If you feel scared, maybe you can look at this as an opportunity for growth, because really when we're uncomfortable, that's when change happens. So sometimes discomfort equals growth, so we really have to jump right into that. And then if you feel sad, maybe smile. Tired, speed up your pace. Maybe you just act in a way where you have more energy. So I know these are all little simple things, but they really do make a difference. And then if you are just so stressed, maybe that's just a sign that you have to take time to recover from stress. So I'm going to give you some strategies for recovering from stress and just going about your day a little bit more mindful, paying a little bit more attention to your stress levels, moving the body, stilling the mind. When I got you guys up moving, you guys were laughing, you were smiling, you were having fun, right? Probably all of that stress that you're probably thinking about on a regular basis probably went away for a short time, right? So working out, moving the body, think of it as a way to really relieve that stress. Because you guys deserve a break. You work so hard that sometimes you really need to take some time for yourself so you can be there for others. Soft music. Isn't this just so relaxing? Soft music is piano music. So this is relaxation music. And there's a lot of studies. This just makes me want to take a deep breath and just kind of relax. There's a lot of studies that show it lowers your stress, it calms your mind and body. So maybe times during the day, you put on some soft music and just let things go. And know that you can't control everything. And then stress eating. So there's actually foods that help with stress. No, it's not chocolate cake, okay? But it's magnesium-rich foods. So what did I say about magnesium? It's our what mineral? Calming mineral. So we can actually eat our stress away a little bit. So foods that are rich in magnesium are dried fruits, nuts. Remember I said the highest source of magnesium is Epsom salt that has to be absorbed through the skin. But the highest source of magnesium from a food standpoint is cacao nibs, dark chocolate. Finally, she said something I want to hear. Yes, chocolate. Chocolate's good for you, but not any chocolate. The raw, unprocessed form, which is cacao nibs. You can find these really anywhere. You can use them in place of chocolate chips. I like to put them on my oatmeal. I put them in smoothies. Cacao nibs, well, all you need is about a tablespoon, but it's really, really high in magnesium. So if you feel like you have a lot of stress in your life, maybe incorporate some more magnesium-rich foods, that calming mineral for the body. Dried mangoes, ancient grains. So a lot of times people that restrict their carbs or they're completely getting rid of grains, they have a really hard time sleeping because those ancient grains, those healthier carbohydrates, are really high in magnesium, and that can help the body to relax at night. Wheatgrass is high in magnesium, and then simple things like a mineral water is going to be really high in magnesium. You can sip that during the day. This is naturally carbonated water. So all the sparkling waters out there are not mineral water. You want to make sure that when looking at a water, it says mineral water. So this is things like Pellegrino, Gerolsteiner, Boudoir. Those are 3 good mineral waters. But just sipping on that, adding a lemon or a lime is really great. Maybe they'll have some at your cocktail hour. You can have some of that on the side just to balance everything out. So I just want to show you some ways to incorporate these magnesium foods. Remember I was talking about all these beliefs that stand in our way when it comes to the way we think about food. It doesn't have to be time consuming. It can taste good, right? We can live healthier and it can be a little effortless. So I'm going to show you how to incorporate some of these magnesium-rich foods. It's a mint chocolate chip smoothie. It's to die for. I can't make any other smoothies but this one. So this recipe is also on our website, so don't feel like you're missing out. But just a really easy way to incorporate some of those foods. Here's another one. If you need a breakfast on the go for your fast-paced lifestyle, this is it. So simple stuff, easy ways to incorporate these things. It doesn't have to be hard, it can still taste good. In fact, that oatmeal on the run will make like non-oatmeal eaters, because it's so good. And then white space. White space is a really great way to recover from stress, and this is just time for you, downtime for you to recharge the batteries. This can be all sorts of things. It could be a massage, it could be a 24-hour staycation, a day at the spa, a walk in nature, because so often we think that when we take this time for ourselves, we're taking away from other pieces of our life when it's so far from the truth. When we take care of ourselves, we can perform and we can be there in so much different ways for other people. One of the most powerful ways for recovering from stress is meditation. And this is just the conscious state of relaxation. So you shouldn't be sleeping when it comes to meditation. It's more about connecting with your breath. So I want everyone to kind of try this out, connect with your breath in a way that really can start to clear the mind. So I want everyone to sit up straight on their chair, maybe the edge of your chair. Yep, good. And when it comes to connecting with the breath, you really want to connect with the belly breath. And this is your diaphragmatic breathing. So put one hand on your belly. And as you inhale through the nose, let the belly fill with air and press against your hand. As you exhale through the nose, let the belly come in. Inhale through the nose, let the belly rise. Exhale, let it fall. So as babies, we are belly breathers. But as we become adults, we start to breathe with our chest, and that puts a lot of stress on the body. So if we can take a few minutes for meditation where we connect with our breath, that can really help us to recover from some of these things. And it doesn't have to be long. It's more about just making it count. So maybe it's 30 seconds, maybe it's 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be long at all. So I want everyone to try this out. And so continue to breathe with your belly. Maybe you're closing your eyes at this point. Inhaling through the nose. Let the belly rise. Exhale through the nose. Let the belly fall. So just start to breathe naturally. Breathing is a practice. Conscious state of relaxation. If you do feel like you want to fall asleep, that's just probably a sign that you may need a little bit more sleep. So now that you have your breathing kind of down, connecting with the place of power, your belly, right? That's all meditation is connecting your breath in a way that really allows you to recover. And I'll dive into this more with yoga, and that's where we connect our breath with the movement. I'm going to take you through just a short meditation to really unlock the mindful leader in you. So putting this all together. So let me go back. So close your eyes here. Continue to breathe with your belly. And start to find a sense of calm. Maybe a place of comfort and joy. And I invite you to train your brain to be more focused, more present, more aware, and more engaged in everything that you do. And perhaps you want to set an intention. What brought you here today? What will get you through this year? What is it that keeps you going? And whatever thoughts pop into your head, just acknowledge them and put them aside, knowing that this is time for you. Time to recharge, energize, and start fresh. And slowly start to invite movement into the body, deepen your breath. Maybe you wiggle your toes, your fingers. Rock your neck side to side. But know that you can always come back to this place, a place that you connect with your breath and where you just let things go. And it doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to take a lot of time, just time for you. And slowly open your eyes. How do you guys feel? You're not falling asleep on me yet? It's easy enough. Taking time for ourselves is fun, right? Yeah. So when I leave you here today, I really want you to focus on taking small steps, not doing everything overnight, but taking small steps, because small steps is what leads to habits and what leads to a really high-performing routine. It allows us to function at our highest level, but also make it effortless. Small steps lead to habits, and then habits lead to daily rituals. Daily rituals we don't forget to do. It's kind of like brushing our teeth. So don't do everything, just do one thing, maybe leaving here today. So I'm going to give you your first step, your first small step to being a mindful leader. And it's here in these little cups. And you guys are all going to try this today. But this brings all of those skills that we learned to make us more focused, more calm, more energized. It's really great for metabolism. It's really great for brain health. And all you need is a tablespoon. Any guesses what this could be? Bourbon, woohoo! Cod liver oil first, and then you can have bourbon. So guess how many gel tablets of cod liver oil you'd have to take to give you what 1 tablespoon does? 14. So we know that whatever it is, we still have to understand the source concept. It's going to be much more powerful. So what if I told you that all you need is a tablespoon? Tablespoon every day, good for heart health, brain health, inflammation, metabolism. Would you be interested? Pretty simple, right? And you guys are going to try it today. It's orange flavor. So I just need 3 people to come up here and take a shot with me. Who's up for? Yep, you right there. Yep, you right there. No, ladies? Come on, ladies. Yeah, you right there. Come on up. I'll give you a little shot. He's jealous. Don't worry, you guys won't miss out. We're all taking shots later. There's that for you. We're going to cheers. We'll do a proper cheers, okay? Yeah. Cheers. Woohoo! What do you think? Not too bad orange flavor. She said fabulous.
I don't taste it.
She doesn't taste it. Woohoo! Can we give him a round of applause? That's awesome. You guys all get a cookbook and an On Target Living lunchbox. So there's for you guys. There you go. Thank you. Woohoo! Sometimes if I just tell you that it tastes good, you probably won't believe me, but I wanted to bring up some of your counterparts so I can prove to you that it will actually taste good. So mindfulness really is your secret weapon. It's your competitive advantage for getting ahead. You're paying attention on purpose so that you can live a life with more purpose. So that's all you have to remember when it comes to mindfulness. You're paying attention to your life on purpose. You're being more engaged in everything that you're doing, because the mindful advisor is the healthy advisor. And a healthy advisor really makes a great advisor, wouldn't you say? A healthier advisor makes a really great advisor. So take some time to invest in your health, because that really is the most powerful investment. And as you leave here today, go out and share this with the people that matter, because sharing is one of the most powerful acts of mindfulness. And you guys can start now. You can lead by example. You can be a role model. This will hold you accountable. But the more we share, the more we have, and the better we take care of ourselves, the better we can take care of others, because healthier really does equal wealthier. Thank you for having me today. We're going to take samples and shots in the back.